Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Your Little Castle Show. Many of you may know I'm a big advocate for those who support our country to make this little planet. I said planet because our military historically has kind of helped keep the whole world at peace and kind of keep things in order. So when we get an opportunity to talk to some veterans and showcase somebody that has served in our military, we look forward to that. So this is an exciting show. We've got Larry, Dale, Wyatt in the building today, and he is the owner of Veteran Flooring. Larry, Dale, you go by Dale, because you're a junior, is that right?
That's correct.
And so Dad, Larry, but he goes by Dale, so we'll reference Larry, Dale, Wyatt as Dale here from here on. And to serve in our military, thank you for your service.
Thank you.
And like I said, it's very exciting to have somebody on that has that kind of background, because how do you make it on this little planet? And where did you learn some of your skills? Probably came from a lot of the military training you had, and just to go off and do what you're doing is dynamite. So thank you for that.
Appreciate it.
With that, let's give a shout out to our sponsors, Carroll House Furniture, because you like nice things in your little castle, and you might be a veteran doing that in your castle as a vet, or is somebody that a veteran help you, or definitely they help make what all goes on in this little planet work. And so you obviously need some flooring there too. So shout out, I've seen some great looking houses, but if the flooring looks great, you got to have the furniture on good looking flooring, right? So
sure.
Brooke, I'm sure appreciates that, because you like nice things. Where do you like nice things? In your little castle, as we put that up there. So thank you, Brooke and Amy, for your sponsorship and support there. We now have some excitement to show everybody. We start off, there's some photos on the wall over there. But we've got a great looking website too, so appreciate that as well. So tell me then, Dale, what got you into this industry known as the flooring industry, right? What got you into this?
Well, after the Marine Corps, I worked in the automotive industry, the manufacturing side, for about 18 years. And then after that, I had some rental properties and flipped some houses, but I started helping a gentleman sanding and refinishing hardwood floors. So learned how to do that, and wanted to go out on my own, and started basically sanding and refinish floors. And now we've grown to have a showroom, and we sell product and install products.
I noticed that good looking showroom too. That to me, somebody who just essentially what we're all really shooting for, right? So where we can kind of control our own destiny. And you just took the leap and said, I worked it for big companies, large company worked for prior, multi-billion-dollar company, I would assume. And he said, man, I can do this on my own. You saw somebody else do it. This is something I also found interesting. You were working for somebody else. You're like, kind of like me. If this guy can do it, I can do it. I could probably do it better. Did you see that? And that's what you felt?
Well, I thought I could run a business better, yes.
And so that led you to where you're at and success now. 9 years coming up on.
Going on almost 10 years.
Almost 10 years. And just went out and did it. Well, that's exciting. All right. Well, what would you say led you to this from the perspective of how did you end up specifically? Now, was it kind of an accident? You literally you were just working for a guy and then you saw what he could do, or did you kind of seek this? You were looking for something in the trades?
Well, I just felt the opportunity to get out on my own. I wanted to have my own business and control my destiny, like you said, and always worked for people, and wanted to make my own way, so to speak. So,
well, you did it, man, and it looks great. We're going to show a lot of Larry's work off. He even brought us some new pictures up here on the classic jump drive. It made it easier for me. Click those right off there and show them for everybody. But great work you're doing there, and we appreciate that. And especially when you've got, you're also doing a great service because you traditionally hire a number of veterans too. You start off with almost all veterans.
Well, they get first preference. That's the goal.
Okay. Yeah. And so it's Veteran Flooring. If you're going to if you are a veteran, you're looking for work, and maybe what kind of background do you look for from somebody? Will you train them from scratch?
Oh, I definitely can train them. Somebody that's honest and will show up every day.
Right.
Those are two main factors.
Right. Yeah, they don't necessarily have to be a flooring expert, but if they show up on time and do the work,
correct.
That's what you're looking for.
Well, we're inside people's homes, and you got to be a little selective. You got to know them a little bit before you just let people loose in people's homes. So.
Yeah, that's true too. Sure, yeah, you're beautifying people's homes, but they also want to feel secure with who they've got there working there. Mm-hmm. And if you've got some veterans, that's a good way to start off with somebody who they probably got a good background check on most of the veterans, obviously, that do the work out there. So you've been doing this now. You say 9 years as an owner, and then how many years prior to that were you working in the industry?
About 2 years.
About 2 years you were working in the industry, and said, hey man, I've learned enough of this, I think I can go out and do this. I guess you're always improving, right? You're always doing better, you're always learning. How long did it take you before you really felt like you were nailing this thing, you were good at what you were doing?
Well, I mean, I still make mistakes today, so I still try to continue to learn. But there's just so many products out there, and trying to sell all the different products, you're always learning something, I think. But when I felt comfortable, probably about 4 years in business, where I felt real comfortable going out and doing the bids and knowing what I was talking about.
And that's a good point you make there, because it seems like that if very often people, they say, well, man, I'm going to go off and get a college degree. I've got one of those, right? And it's 4 years you put in to do that. But what if you could just become an expert in an industry, and you didn't pay $35,000 a year for that in 4 years, essentially the same amount of time you say it took you to become an expert and really know what you're doing. And then you've got a trade that you're already in. You're not like after your 4 years saying, hey, so somebody hire me. And then we know the whole routine if you're working for somebody.
And I was fortunate to hire somebody that had a lot of experience and taught me a lot. And
really?
So he's since passed away, but he had been doing it about 30 years.
Okay.
Before that, had a lot of knowledge. So.
All right, so now we're
tapped into that, so that helped a lot.
Another little cheat code: hire an expert that knows what they're doing. We hadn't heard that one from anybody.
Surround yourself with good people, for sure.
Surround yourself with good people. Hire a guy who's good at it, and then you've already got somebody in there. So that's why I said when you were getting started, first couple of years, didn't feel like that you've been doing 2 years and then started on your own. By the time you've gone a couple more years, but the whole time you had somebody else working with you, for you, sure, that really knew they were an expert and made it happen. Mm-hmm. That's a good one. I like that. Write that one down, everybody, because you can just jump right in and say, hey. And I think that's what some people do when they buy a business, et cetera, those kinds of things. But those are things that can really cut to the success that people are looking to have. Well, tell me, what is it about this that fuels your passion when you wake up every day? I mean, I can imagine when you're putting. I've seen some of your work, and just when you see a beautiful floor, and it just looks dynamite all the way across the room. You can see the structure and the patterns and what you get to do. What is it? Is that what makes you wake up when you see your client's smiling face? What do you?
I've always had a strong work ethic, but I think what drives me a lot is probably the fear of failure, maybe.
Okay.
But, the desire to grow a strong business, to provide jobs for people and do a good job for customers.
Okay, yeah, because there's a lot of times we're out there working and so I guess that's something that I hadn't heard. That's another one. You got another good tip there. Hey, don't be afraid to be afraid. And a little fear in the back of your mind saying, I better get this thing right and do it right, or else you risk that reputation we all don't want to have.
Absolutely.
Somebody that says, hey, don't hire those guys. They didn't do the job right. But it's okay to have a little bit of fear about what you're getting into a little bit.
So plus the desire to continue to grow, bring in more commodities is a goal. So
okay, and when we say commodities, you mean different types of flooring?
We want to add some processes in different floors as we continue to grow.
Right. Yeah. And how much is the flooring off script here a little bit? I've got my list of questions. I always to keep very organized. But how often? What are the big changes you've seen in the industry? Is there more? I guess I've seen they used to have a lot of linoleum. Now they've got this wood. I guess it's vinyl, but it looks a lot like wood versus the stuff that didn't look much like wood. And you put that down, and it can look great. Is that good quality, or do you need real wood? What's the best way to? I guess it depends on the budget.
We still sand and finish every day. That's a big part of our business, but we also sell and install hardwood and engineering hardwood. But the luxury vinyl plank you're talking about really became popular several years ago, and also the laminates have become, they've re-engineered the laminates and they have gotten a lot better. But a lot of luxury vinyl plank going in. But everything's made to look like wood because I think there's no substitute for hardwood. But the people like the durability of it.
Right.
They like the fact that it's waterproof. That's a big selling point.
Sure.
And it's really been hot for several years now.
And you talk about the new plank vinyl.
Talk about the new luxury vinyl plank.
Yeah. And I said we just got some of that installed. People know I reference periodically. Dad is up in baseball heaven watching that. Hey, Dad, I hope we're doing another show. I mentioned you again. But he grew up in a big Victorian house, and next to it they had what they called the carriage house. And recently, or a couple years ago now, there was a pipe blew in the coldest temperature in 41 years or whatever. And we had people go in, and one of the first things they're looking at is the floor, right? And it had the old classic wood floors. And we said, is there any way to salvage that? And they essentially said, more labor involved than it would make it worth it. But these were floors that were 40 years old or so. How is that a viable option? They ended up putting the plank in there. Plank looked great. It's thinner, but
I have a hard time covering wood. I think
okay.
it'd have to be pretty bad for us to cover it. I think we could sand it and make it look good.
Yeah, because they ended up tearing it out, but it got so wet.
Well, it gets to a point where you can't save it. Sure.
Okay. And but I just wonder how often is it the case? It's just, man, if you got that, don't let it go, because and we asked them, said, can you pull it out? And they started showing us something. It was faded and warped and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean,
but there's a lot of different vinyl plank. I mean, there's some really good ones and there's some not so good ones.
Okay. And you need an expert like you to figure out what
well, you need to show them the options of what makes one good and what makes one. You just can't tell by looking at them.
Really?
So, are they going to last? Are they going to peel?
Gotcha.
Does it have a wood, plastic composite, or does it have a stone plastic composite? That's the core. So it's actually rigid core.
Okay.
When we first started selling it, you said luxury vinyl. People kept thinking sheet vinyl. Proper name is actually rigid core. But
okay. So take note here on these rigid core vinyl. Is there any vinyl in these actually?
Oh, yes.
And so. But it does allow for some durability and some stuff like. But it's rigid, and why is it?
That's right. The wear layers of PVC, urethane, or some of them have ceramic bead in it. Some of them have aluminum oxide in the finish. So it all depends on which one they want with the wear layer and how many layers of wear layer and how good is the wear layer. Is it all PVC or is it? Have urethane in it, or
ladies and gentlemen, do you see why you need an expert now? Because if you just walk into Lowe's or Home Depot, pull off what's on the shelf there, some of that may be good, some of it may not, but you don't know because this. How do you study? How do you know to look for the things you're talking about there?
Yep.
And so is that
that's what we try to do with our customers that come in the showroom. We try to educate them on, what's the cost difference and why are you paying more for each item.
Yeah, well, that makes a lot more sense to me now. I didn't realize there's so much that goes into this. How would you even know? You can do your Google search. I could become Google certified, right? Mm-hmm. And I used to have a Google certification per se, but that was for marketing purposes. But to be a Google expert, you got to be careful with that because you don't even know what to begin to look for and how much time are you going to spend on this. What's your time worth? Walk in and talk to somebody who knows what they're doing and can cut through the chase. Because how often does somebody buy the wrong material and then they've got to replace it? 5 years later? How long does that last?
Well, there's some of the cheaper products. Some people just go with the lowest cost product. I had a friend of mine that had some rental properties, and he just went with very cheap product, and he had to replace it a couple of years later because it peeled back. And if he'd have spent just a little more money, he could have got a superior product that would have lasted 15, 20 years.
And you can show everybody this. You've got the showroom and kind of can demonstrate this and say, here's what you need. We don't even have the stuff.
Yeah, we have some economical stuff all the way up to very, very good quality there.
Okay. And so that you kind of the same old adage, you get what you pay for? I mean, some of that stuff is really expensive.
Well, some of it you can overpay.
Okay.
We have some of that too if you want to overspend. But a good product is still reasonable, but not that much. I mean, it's pretty good price range on all the vinyl, but some are just far superior than others.
Okay, and then you get into actual wood, and you still do it in real wood floors, right?
Sure.
How often do people choose those because of what?
Well, we do a lot of hardwood and engineered hardwood. The wider planks became more popular recently, or the last few years actually. But
right.
And that's when you get in. That's when you want to get to the engineered hardwood. Wood expands and retracts. Anything over 5 inches, you want to go with the engineers, more solid floor. Okay. They layer the grains this way and this way and then this way and this way, and then you get your wear layer so it doesn't have that expansion and retraction that a solid wood has. So it expands and retracts with the grain all the time.
Yeah, I'm kind of getting into it a little bit here, everybody, just because I didn't realize there's so much that goes into the flooring that you may.
And then the engineered woods, you want one that has a good wear layer, and you can still sand those some of them 3 or 4 times.
Okay.
So
Yeah, we were going to show some pictures of Dale's work here. He's got some stuff where these floors were what they were 600, 800 square feet. It looked like pretty big.
well, we do
floors.
small jobs, all to really big jobs. Yeah.
Yeah, and when it came down to it, you were literally looking across. It looked like, but you see where they kind of weave together. That was the old floor versus the new floor.
Well, if they
those
have
together?
existing hardwood, we can lace in new wood and then sand and stain everything. I have some pictures of that. We did. This is one we did this week.
Okay, yeah. Well, I tell you what, I'm gonna cheat and put these up on the wall. This is the one I was referencing over here.
Yeah.
I'll go to
So
the
that's
white.
they had existing maple. This room was all carpet, and we lace the raw maple into the pre-finished maple, and then we sand it. So
Yeah, as you can see, if you look there where it turns from white to brown, that's where you laced it in. You call that.
That's called lacing in. Yes.
Lacing in, and so that literally is where you're putting in old versus the new, and then you sand all of it,
Yep.
and then you got to match the color with it. Is that
Well,
staining
at that point, we give them any color they want, but
okay,
you let the customer pick the color.
okay. We got a lot more great work here to show off that Larry
I think
has.
there's actually after sanding and stain on there somewhere.
Dale has done here, but yeah, okay, we're getting into it now. Well, tell me then. All right, this is what people need to be worried about. What I also noticed about you, you've got some dynamite reviews. So I'm going to pull up a couple here. I haven't even set these up yet. I just found them, and first thing I'll make reference for everybody. You also are on the BBB. You've got that A+ rating, and so that's important. So feel good about what you're talking about there.
And I do have the veteran-owned small business certification as well.
Veteran-owned small business certification. We might have to find that. We've got show 2. Maybe we'll bring that up. I want to put that up for everybody to see too. But yeah, if you take a look here at Dale's reviews, there they are. I'm gonna put these up on the wall. Here we go. And this goes on and on. 4.9. I guess there was one person that didn't give you a 5. But
I did get one bad review early on. So
okay, somebody. I'm sure you have a good.
well, we didn't actually do any work for him, but so but,
I understand.
he obviously he got upset with me, and
Okay.
I refused to work with him, and just so we didn't take any money, and we didn't do any work, but he felt the need to write a bad review. So,
I personally experienced.
so if we had done work and got a bad review, that'd be one thing, but.
Yeah, no, I personally experienced something like that, and I didn't talk to them. It wasn't even associated. It was a different thing, and they go, they didn't tell us whatever. I'm like, that wasn't even this. That was a totally different, separate thing. You want to write that? Go over there. Anyway, but people, and you can refute it and whatever. But Dale and his team were amazing from beginning to end. Highly recommend them in every aspect. Professional, great customer service, courteous, prompt, and efficient. I even decided I wanted new baseboards throughout after they finished surfacing the floors, and they were able to accommodate me with reasonable time from everything. And completely finished in 4 days. Veteran Flooring is phenomenal. I will start our new project. I will call them. Well, how does that make you feel to have somebody that's that happy about what you've done for them?
Feels great.
Feels great.
I mean,
yeah.
that's the goal.
Yeah, when you've started a business and you're getting people that are saying these kinds of things, and they go on and on here, everybody. I'm gonna put this up for everybody to see again.
This Cecil gentleman right here was in a wheelchair, and he had several different floors around the house, and we went in and gave him a really good laminate that could handle him and his wheelchair.
Okay.
And a super guy.
Dale and his team did an incredible job on my floor start. I helped him with the best floors, durability, maintenance, and showed me style I wanted a week later after being installed. I was most impressed with he goes on for a while here. Everything that made plunge back in the correct sockets. They did a great job cleaning. We did to deal with much dust as they worked. Had the floor spotless when they finished the job. The floors are so perfect, tight against the walls. Great job, because I feel such great value for the work they did. And wow, it makes you feel good. Cecil there. So
Definitely appreciate the good reviews. Yeah.
yeah, well, and I say the good reviews are usually a result of the hard work, dedication, doing everything.
Well,
right.
I didn't get reviews early on, so that was a mistake. So just
Okay.
recently we started getting reviews, and most of them are, other than the one, have been really good. So.
Well, there you go. There's another note for you guys. Start asking for review. Ask for them. Excuse me. But ask somebody. Say, hey, did you like what we did? Yes or no? And if they say no, they say, well, is there something we need to fix here? And if they did, like it, they say, could you take them in? And you can send a link right to the reviews
Yeah,
page.
we started working with a marketing company, doing some advertisement, and then they set it up to where it's easy to give a review. So you want to make it as easy as possible. Not everybody wants to do that. But.
Right. Yeah. The easier you make it for people, the more likely they are to do so. And again, great. Take that note then again, everybody. Ask for reviews. Get some reviews because that's what people will take notice of. One of the things they're going to look at is, number one, are you professional? That's why we advocate people that come on our show here, take this video, put it right in the front of your page. This is going to get their attention. Next thing they're going to say, okay, these guys are legit. They're going to say, let me check out what their work and history is. And that's where we spent a few minutes talking about reviews for that reason. So great job there, Dale. Keep that up. All right. Well, if you had to describe one thing that you feel separates you, there's some other flooring companies around the area. What is the one thing that really separates Veteran Flooring from the rest?
Well, one thing is I pay my guys 40 hours a week, no matter what. So they're guaranteed a salary, which is different than most.
Oh, wow.
I feel my job's to get them 40 hours work a week.
Okay.
And if I don't do my job, they shouldn't be punished for that. So they get 40 hours, whether we work it or not.
Yeah, because most guys are paid by the hour, I guess.
Yes.
So you're saying.
So, but you get good guys, you want to figure out ways to hold on to them. So, especially holiday weeks and due to Thanksgiving and Christmas and downtime, slow time, they're guaranteed that 40 hours. So I think they appreciate that. But the other thing is, we don't require deposits on work.
Really?
So I think I don't know of any other company that does that.
Yeah, that's kind of unique because put it out there a little bit, let people
pay when we're done. I think it builds a trust between us and the customer, and of course, it makes us get the job done too. If you're waiting to get paid, so you want to get the job
paid
done.
Until the job gets done.
I mean, we don't start a job and pull off and come back. We start a job, we finish the job. So.
There it is. Okay, so great notes there again. Pay your guys, and you're doing it to make sure, because then you got happy workers, and then they're going to do a good job for you because they don't want to lose that job working for you because they're getting paid all the time, even when there's not as much work to do. And sometimes they probably work some overtime too, but you get compensated.
I take care of them on that. Yes,
get compensated for that as well. And then, of course, that obviously has a big impact on your business. But at the same time, no deposit necessary. That's pretty cool because a lot of people, hey, I got a little.
Well, you see these videos on the news and things of these guys taking all these deposits and then skating, and then of course I've had customers that talked about they paid and didn't get the service. So it's something I pride myself on. Not everybody agrees with me on that, but that's what I do.
I can imagine that's the case. Yeah, I've had other people we won't name specifically, but they said it on camera. They said I want them to have some skin in the game, and they're talking roofing, siding, those kinds of things. And so but you've got enough confidence in what you've done to develop, that they're very likely they're gonna be very happy with what.
I think they are. So
that's
what the goal is for sure. But
and the reviews,
I always get paid. So
there you go. That's important. Okay, good to know. There's somebody you can count on because they know that their work will be worthy and people will pay. That's good to know. All right. Well, tell me this is one of my favorite questions, but I can only imagine this. Gosh, after that discussion we had at the beginning of the show, check this out, everybody. Go back and you can rewind, and these are all going to be available on YouTube and Facebook and all the interwebs where you can rewind and watch this if you missed it when it aired live on ABC. But what's a big mistake? And when you start talking about all the details and polyureths, and I didn't know all the technical terms you were using, but what's the biggest mistake people make when they're getting a floor replaced?
Well, I think one is sometimes they just go with the cheapest product or the cheapest bid,
Right.
And I think that's a mistake, especially for longevity. Now, we have work we do for investment people that are flipping houses or have rental properties, and that's fine. They want an economic product. But if you're going to be staying in the home and living in your home, you want to have a superior product, I think. So, and you don't necessarily want to go with the lowest bid on the labor either. So there's just one way to put it in, and it's right.
How do you install this? Right.
It's got to be done right. So they say easy installation, but I say nothing's easy. So you got to do it right. So,
that's true.
They also people have to, with this luxury vinyl, it's very thin material, and the floor has to be perfectly level, or it's going to flex and separate.
Oh wow! Oh yeah.
And,
that makes sense. So back to one of my favorite quotes from Dad up there. He says, "Cheap can get very expensive." Yeah. Is that the truth? I mean, because literally, if you're doing this and you have to do it twice, if you got it for $3,000 instead of $5,000, but now you're doing it again, you're spending $6,000.
Sure.
And you could have had it done right and lasted, and maybe a lot longer than that, because even if you do it a second time, it may not go out in 2 years, but it goes out in 5. Where if you bought the right stuff to begin with,
And some people
could last
do
15
their
years.
due diligence and research it, but then they just specify wear layer. But you need to explain, what does that mean, the wear layer? Just because it's 20 mil wear layer doesn't mean it's the best wear layer.
Another one there, wear layer.
Wear layers are important, but
Okay,
what is
a
the wear
layer?
layer made out of? So it's basically the durability of the floor. It's the layer of the coating.
Okay, so where people are wearing the floor,
The coating on the floor, how many
coating.
layers of coating it has.
place
So
where they both.
the protective coating.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how durable is that? And do they have different levels? And
Right. Does it have? So we have one that has aluminum oxide in it. That his 4 mil is probably more durable than 20 mil because it has aluminum oxide in it. So it's a Mannington product that has a patent on that. So sometimes more layers doesn't mean better. Just like in wood, thicker doesn't always mean better.
Okay.
So.
Okay. now we're getting into it. Everybody, Dale has doubled my knowledge, at least with regard to what you need to know when you're talking about flooring. And when you're talking about this is a big investment for most people. I can't imagine. I didn't realize when house flippers, they sometimes aren't using good quality stuff. So
Let's say you're putting it in a basement, and then the core is SPC, and so it's going to get colder than WPC. So the core's got wood or stone, and in the core, the stone's going to get colder.
Okay,
So-
and that'll affect.
So that when you're walking on the floor, when your feet get cold, and you want a
Just
warmer
matter-
floor, then you want to go with the WPC.
A matter of use too. Wow. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't caught everything here, I got one more question to ask Larry before we finish up this show. We're going to do another half hour with Dale and talk about a whole lot more about the in-depth behind the scenes that goes into this. But with that, tell me a time when you really felt like you had a client that was kind of out on a limb and you had to step up and come in and help them. You have a specific example you could?
Well, we really focus on customer. We're very customer driven. So I think we try to do that with every customer every day. But I've done, for instance, we had one customer recently that one was selling and things were tight, and we pushed off payment till closing. So I don't know many people that would do that.
Oh wow! So your work was long done.
So once they sell and they close, then we get paid.
Okay.
So
Well, what you got to do to help a customer
Yeah.
out? Sounds like you really have.
but we really go above and beyond customer. My guys know the customers are very important, and if we leave a job without a referral, then we didn't do a good job.
There you have it. If you leave a job without a referral, then didn't do a good job. Great notes, a lot of great information here from Dale. Check them out. Veteran Flooring, veteranflooringstl.com, 314-441-8569. Get a hold of Dale here. He will make sure and take care of you guys. Stay tuned for the second show coming up. You're probably watching this one on Thursday night. The next show will be on Friday night, or you can watch it on our social media. Giddy up.